Announcements none. Papers have been laid. Questions?
Mr. Speaker, my question is addressed to the Honourable Vice Prime Minister, Minister of Education, Tertiary Education, Science and Technology. Whether in regard to the correspondence dated 15th October 2021, addressed by the Director of the Private Secondary Education Authority, PSEA, to managers of grant-aided private secondary schools, she will state if she has been made aware thereof, and if she has taken note of the communiqué dated 29th October 2021 from the Service diocésien de l'éducation catholique and of the press conference of the Federation of Unions of Managers of Private Secondary Schools held on 8th November 2021 in relation thereto, and if so, indicate the actions she has taken to date regarding same, if any.
Mr. Speaker, sir, on 15th October 2021, the Director of the PSEA sent a circular letter entitled Estimates of Income and Expenditure for Financial Year 2022 to managers of private secondary schools. This circular drew the attention of the managers to the PSEA regulations, Section 4, 15.3 and 15.4 of the PSEA Act 2016, namely, Section 4 reads as follows. Every manager shall not later than 3 months before the beginning of each financial year of the school submit to the authority, in such manner as it may determine, an estimate of the income and expenditure expected to be received or incurred by the schools, as the case may be, in the next financial year. Section 15.3, a grant or a provisional grant payable under subsection 1 and 2 shall be paid at such time and in such installments as the authority may determine. And Section 15, subsection 4, before any grant or provisional grant is made, the authority may require the grantee to furnish such information as the authority may require. And managers were accordingly requested to submit an estimated income and expenditure statement for the period January 2022 to December 2022. They were informed that disbursement would be made on a quarterly basis in advance, and they will have to submit the actual expenses incurred, supported by relevant documents at the end of every quarter. PSEA will then disburse grants for the next quarter. Furthermore, managers were asked to seek prior endorsement of the authority before embarking on any major project, in particular for non-recurrent expenses. Mr. Speaker, sir, the circular also stressed that the estimated expenditure should not exceed the amount representing the block grant, less managerial grant, less compensation for use of school premises, and managers should avoid procuring equipment and services from suppliers or companies having a close parental or business relationship in which they hold shares, and as this would lead to situations of conflict of interest. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have also taken note of the communiqué de presse dated 29 October regarding la décision de la PSEA. The communiqué mentions that there is l'ingérence de la PSEA dans la gestion financière des écoles, and that there is allegedly curtailment of grants. Moreover, the communiqué points out that there are conditions imposed regarding recruitment of personnel, allocation of teaching periods, as well as pedagogy. It also states that state secondary schools offer seats to grades 10 and 12 students, and this has had an impact on the posts of deputy rectors and educators. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I have highlighted earlier, any new project to be undertaken and implemented by either a state secondary school or a private grant-aided secondary school using public funds should have prior endorsement of the authority responsible for the disbursement of such funds. The PSEA by law has been entrusted the responsibility to ensure that grants disbursed to to the private secondary schools are used for the intended purpose, and funds dispersed has to be accounted for in line with the principles of good governance and accountability. I wish to highlight that in the context of the preparation of the comprehensive grant formula for the period 2022 to 2023, the National Audit Office asked for the strengthening of the system of checks and verification, as well as monitoring and control on the disbursement of grants to the PSS in view of the substantial amount of funds involved. In the corruption prevention review conducted by the ICAC for the PSEA, it was pointed out that an effective control mechanism based on the principles of checks and balances should be put in place to ensure the proper and ethical use of public funds. With regard to the recruitment of personnel by the PSS, who are also remunerated by the state, they have to satisfy conditions regarding teacher entitlement, and this has always been the case. Mr. Speaker, sir, the press communiqué from the SEDEC alleges that there has been a reduction in the grant payable. However, this is not true, Mr. Speaker, sir. An advance of 3 months is paid to each private secondary school based on the allocation given to them on the previous comprehensive grant formula. However, if they are not in a position to spend the allocated amount, the remaining amount is carried forward to the next quarter at their request. The problem noted is that the PSS, the private secondary schools, are not able to spend the funds allocated to them. Contrary to the past, where all funds dispersed, even if unspent, was cashed by the school, the new grant formula provides for a mechanism to carry the remaining balance to the next quarter. Mr. Speaker, sir, in respect of the food projects for the needy students, this is not part of the mandate of the PSEA. The comprehensive grant formula has specific components, and this element of food projects is not covered. While the PSEA is sympathetic to such projects, it's not part of its mandate as a regulator to fund such projects. The new comprehensive grant formula provides for a list of expenses broken down into direct expenses, administrative expenses, and non-recurrent expenses. Unfortunately, private secondary schools were not able to submit justifications for the expenses claimed. In addition, while scrutinizing the claims, it was found that many unreasonable and unjustified claims had been made. It is due to this reason that the PSEA was not able to effect payments of grants for the next quarter for those PSS which were not compliant. However, in order not to penalize them, the PSEA decided to effect payment in advance for the next quarter. During the second quarter, the PSEA decided to pay them forecasted expenditure for 2 months. Mr. Speaker, sir, each private secondary school has an entitlement in terms of teaching and non-teaching staff. Circulars have regularly been issued to private secondary schools since 2016, requesting them to seek and obtain prior endorsement of the PSEA before finalizing any recruitment. It is in no way an interference in the recruitment process. It has been noted that on many occasions, if the endorsement of the PSEA is not sought, private secondary schools exceed the teacher entitlement, resulting in difficult situations where the person recruited may be penalized. As far as allocation of timetable and subjects offered are concerned, it is not true to say that there is any sort of interference from the PSEA. On the contrary, the PSEA provides for guidelines and includes in the timetable the subjects which are offered by the private secondary schools. And this can have a series of subjects, namely religious studies, Bible knowledge, intercultural education, Islamiyat, and a number of others. Mr. Speaker, sir, there is a national curriculum framework to which all state and private secondary schools in the country must adhere to, as they form part of the national education system. No educational authority, or of whatever denomination, can operate as an island on its own in this country. As for the timetabling issue, the PSEA provides guidelines to ensure program coverage. However, schools have the autonomy to retain their specificity. As regards the point made on the school population at grades 10 and grade 12 impacting on entitlement of deputy rectors and educators, PSEA and even the ministry has informed them that the current entitlement of schools in respect of educators and deputy rectors will not be affected until the retirement of the incumbents. The House will also appreciate, Mr. Speaker, sir, that with the present demographic trends, schools are bound to experience a reduction in the school intake in the years to come. However, this is true even for state secondary schools. Je voudrais, Monsieur le Président, donner l'assurance qu'il n'y a jamais eu et qu'il n'y aura jamais aucune atteinte de la part de la PSEA ou du ministère à porter atteinte au droit constitutionnel des associations confessionnelles d'établir des écoles ou aux parents de placer leurs enfants dans les collèges de leur choix. Et cela a toujours été le cas. Le partenariat entre l'État et les collèges privés, est bien vivant. We have also taken cognizance of the request made by the Federation of Managers regarding dialogues and partnership. But, Mr. Speaker, sir, they have always been welcome my office. We have always been having meetings, and we have always been discussing. So the partenariat est très vivant. Mr. Speaker, sir, my ministry has always adopted a policy of open dialogue with the Federation of Managers, and as I've just said, we have been having regular meetings, and this will always be the case. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I thank the Minister for her answer. My question, Mr. Speaker, is motivated by the fact that there are 56,000 young students studying in these private schools. And I've been shocked, Mr. Speaker, to see the tone of the press conference by the Federation of Managers. This is what they say. Nous avons besoin de subir l'humiliation, de mendier ou des sous qu'on nous donne à contre-cœur. And this is what the Education Catholic had to say, Mr. Speaker. And of course, we're talking about children of all communities who are studying in these schools. And this is what l'Éducation catholique had to say. Une menace certaine pour la survie des collèges privés et des collèges catholiques. Having obviously read this, also received a copy of a letter to the Prime Minister dated 8th November. But I have to motivate the fact that she got a letter on the 8th of November and addressed to the Prime Minister, copied to her. And did you take any action to meet these people? Since that time, it's already a month, nearly.
Mr. Speaker, sir, my doors are always open for the Federation of Managers and for the SEDEC. I was myself surprised to look at the tone of the communiqué. Mr. Speaker, sir, I'm going to table this communiqué so that people see what has been written in there. And I will also table the amount of funds being given to schools. And I will give you the list and the amounts dispersed to schools from 2011 to 2019. And you will be able to judge, because the amount that we are giving to schools today is thrice the amount, because we're giving them on a quarterly basis in advance. So there's no curtailment of funds. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, talking about this communiqué, I was extremely surprised, because I've had a meeting with them after the comprehensive grant formula had been given. And they were telling me that they agreed. However, they had certain problems regarding maintenance of school, which we are trying to see how to help. But then when I read the communiqué, Mr. Speaker, sir, where I see that depuis un certain temps, nous subissons la tentative de mainmise totale de la PSEA sur la gestion de nos collèges par le biais des circulaires, la PSEA nous informe des conditions imposées concernant le recrutement du personnel. Mr. Speaker, sir, we just want them to know what is the entitlement of the school, what is the number of teachers they can recruit, and this is our role. And all we are asking, we are not saying that we are not giving the funds, we are providing the funds in advance. We are just saying, come and support you.
Wait.
Let me finish. We are just asking them to... Mr. Speaker, sir, I haven't finished.
Wait, you cannot interfere. This is a reply. Let us listen to that. Please, go ahead, Minister.
Je n'ai pas terminé. Je voulais... No, I'm answering the question.
Wait.
Mr. Speaker, sir, what I'm saying is that we are providing funds. We haven't curtailed funds. We are saying that if your school population is dwindling, your teachers who are already recruited remain in the school, but then at the time of their retirement, you're not supposed to get another teacher for that position because your school population is smaller now. We are being flexible. We're saying, in spite of the fact that the school population has gone down and your teacher entitlement does not allow you to have an additional teacher, we are allowing you to keep the teacher or the deputy rector until the retirement of that person, which is only too fair, Mr. Speaker, sir.
I want to operate a PNQ when I ask a question about whether she has met them, and I get an answer completely differently. There's a problem, Mr. Speaker. Let me finish now with my question. Mr. Speaker, she mentioned the need for strengthening of controls. There was some unethical expenditure, unjustified claims, and there are two types of schools, as you know. There are the profit-making schools, about 60, and then 25 schools, they are confessional schools. Catholic schools, there are Muslim schools, a Hindu school, etc. Now, which of these confessional schools you are saying are in fact lying and in fact submitting...
I never
withdraw
said
that
so.
word. Please, apologize and withdraw that word.
Mr. Speaker, let me explain.
Apologize.
Let me explain what I
have
said.
the floor.
She said the reduction was not true.
You
What does
said
that mean?
lying.
When you say something that is not true, what does that mean?
You withdraw
She
that
said-
word?
I am withdrawing, Mr. Speaker, no problem. You said that what they said were untrue. That is what you said. And now you're saying, which of these 25 confessional schools, which are put in the same panier as everyone else, which one, please, be honest, tell us the truth. Which one justifies the sort of measures you have taken?
Mr.
Which
Speaker,
one?
sir.
Name me one. Samuel Zef?
Please.
Is it Muslim?
There is an
Is
end
it
to the
Islamic?
question.
Which one is it?
Please, there is an end to a question. The question is not literature.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Speaker,
Minister.
sir, I am a minister of education for all the students in this country, and I deal with all the schools. I put them at par. Now, one thing, when I say that there has been unethical, I'm saying that ICAC has mentioned that we have to ensure that funds are being used in an ethical manner. Now, when a school having 285 boys has already a football pitch, comes and says that I want to invest on a second football pitch. Do I agree? Mr. Speaker, sir, we are talking about public funds, taxpayers' money. And that's why I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have to deal with all of them alike. Now, I'm not going to talk about confessional schools or private secondary schools. None of these, look, any profit-making school investing in its school can manage its schools on its own. But when public funds are concerned, it is my duty to ensure that it is being used properly. If I don't do that, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition can come and ask me a question. Why am I allowing schools to use public funds unethically? Now, I'm not here to pinpoint on any one school, but I would like to say that certain schools ask funds to put a lift in the school. Others ask funds to get road markers so that they can mark their schoolyards. Some others came and said that they need to replace all the computers in the school, which are in running conditions. Now, my question is, are you asking me to take public funds, to dish out public funds without having any control? I'm going to table, Mr. Speaker, sir, not only the circular letter of the circular, la presse communiquée de SEDEC, but I will also table the circular letter of the PSEA, because to me, there's nothing wrong in that circular letter. We are just asking them to come forward. We have already given you the funds. Come forward, show me your receipts, and I can give you funds for the next quarter. Now, if the funds are not used, you are given the opportunity to use it again in the next quarter. So what's wrong in that? And what action am I supposed to take in such a situation when the officers are just trying to ensure that public funds are being used properly? Mr. Speaker, sir, certain schools sign a paper saying that they are having excavation works done in the schoolyard without saying for which purpose. Do we send the funds and say, okay, use it? I am myself a product of private secondary schools. I have myself worked as an educator in private secondary schools. So I don't have to learn anything from anyone to come and tell me what is the difference between a confessional school or a private secondary school. I have been in a confessional school from the age of 5 till I completed my schooling. I have been working in a confessional school for over 25 years. So I've got nothing to learn from anyone about how a confessional school is run.
Speaker, why? She has been unable to tell us why 25 confessional schools are being put in the same basket
because
for unethical use and unjustified
I've
claims.
never said so.
Now, Mr. Speaker.
I've
Now,
never
Mr.
said-
Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I never said
Mr. Speaker.
I never
I'm
said
going
so.
to ask. She doesn't understand the file. That's the problem, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to read from the PSEA. She doesn't understand. This is why this mess. This is a horrible mess, Mrs. Honourable Minister. This is what it says in the PSEA. Any unutilized amount will be offset against the disbursement of the following quarter. Meaning what? That if you don't spend today, you get a reduction next time. Otherwise, they don't know how to write English. Mr. Speaker, therefore, that is a small point. I won't go too much into that point, Mr. Speaker. I will now come to some issues relating to profit-making. We understand that you have the profit-making schools. There are about 60 of them there, which...
Minister, you
What are you
cannot
saying?
interfere.
Which you said
Let the
yourself.
leader of the opposition put his question.
You said yourself they are
Don't take too
profit-making
much
schools.
time. Put your question.
You said yourself the profit-making schools. Read the Hansard. You said yourself. Mr. Speaker, I want to ask for these schools. You are paying them a small amount of rent, which was last valued in 2014. Now, I'll take two schools. I'll give you the name if you want. Both were valued independently at 1.2 million. Your ministry is giving 217,000, since that was last valued in 2014. Now, it was supposed to be revalued again, hasn't done so, at least 4 years late.
No, then you're engaging in a conversation. You know the result.
Now,
Please, put your question
I
and
thought
no
I did.
conversation.
Did you understand my question? I said, why are you underpaying?
You finish with your question. Minister,
Well, ask your question.
the question is over. Please, reply.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to inform the House that the valuation exercise has been completed on the 30th of the last month, 30th November. The valuation exercise for all the schools has been completed.
Speaker, if you understand how this works, how you reimburse the schools is you give them a small amount of rent, much less than they ought to receive, and then you reimburse them for their expenses. Now, anybody with half a mind will understand that if I'm just reimbursing you for expenses, there's no way that you can make a return on investment. You understand? There's no way, because you're only reimbursing.
And the question?
And the question is, how are these schools going to make a return on their investment? Because in this formula, you can ask the Minister of Finance if you're getting stuck. There is no way other than reimbursement of expenses.
Mr. Speaker, sir, what I was trying to say is that the schools are run by the managers. The state provides funds for the running of the school and for ensuring that the students get quality education. What we pay to the managers in terms of rent is known as the annual rental value, ARV, and because it was decided so as far back as in 1976, when we decided to go on free education, they get an amount over a long period of time. So there is a value that is given, and there is a ceiling of 217,000 per month that is provided to the managers of the school. But all the running of the school, all the expenditure resources required to run the school is provided by the state. And it is in billions, Mr. Speaker, sir. The teachers and non-teaching staff are all paid by the state. And so what investment are we talking about? Even if they buy a computer, the state pays for that. So which return on investment are we talking about? We can just ask the teachers, the teaching and non-teaching staff of all schools, all private secondary schools. They will come and tell you what is happening in the schools. So there is no return on investment that we're expecting now. We have been paying these schools as far back as from 1976. All governments, successive governments have been doing so. Now, when we have a report from the audit office, when we have a report from the ICAC, do you want me to stay and to sit back and say, okay, let things go as it has been going on for years? No. We've got to redress, Mr. Speaker, sir. And I'm again insisting on one point, that we haven't curtailed funds. We have been providing more funds. We are just asking managers to collaborate, to cooperate, and to provide us with documents supporting the expenditure. Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important for me to table both the communiqué from SEDEC as well as the circular letter from the PSEA, so that people can understand what is going on. Using a letter to come and say that everything is going wrong, and when in this letter, as I've just mentioned, we have just asked them to provide us with receipts, provide us with supporting documents. And I'm really shocked to see such a press communiqué talking about, I have to read it because I was shocked to read that myself. No, I will read it. Your question is based on this press communiqué. I'm going to read it. Not at all. Alors, nous estimons que ces agissements sont une atteinte aux droits constitutionnels des associations confessionnelles, des tabliers et des écoles, ainsi que à la liberté des parents de placer leurs enfants dans les collèges de leur choix. On vient plus loin dire que les élèves passent en grade 10 et en grade 12 dans les collèges confessionnels. Et c'est le droit constitutionnel des parents de faire admettre les élèves dans les collèges de leur choix. Et en plus, nous avons pris des mesures pour empêcher à ce qu'il y ait de lateral transfer dans les écoles, pour que les collèges privés puissent garder leurs élèves. Mais quand il y a une place dans une académie et qu'un élève a bien travaillé et a fait un choix d'aller dans une académie, mais je ne suis pas là à les empêcher. Maintenant, on parle de la démographie, le déclin. C'est vrai pour nos écoles aussi. Dans nos écoles primaires, nous n'avons qu'une poignée d'élèves. Il y avait une question la semaine dernière d'un membre de l'opposition. Mais c'est vrai qu'il y a un déclin. Mais je ne puis rien. Et là, je dois faire ressortir que ce serait vraiment dommage qu'on puisse venir remettre en question le Comprehensive Grant Formula. Quand j'ai eu des rencontres avec les managers, ils étaient d'accord initialement, avec la SEDEC aussi. Alors je trouve un peu bizarre que maintenant, c'est basé sur une lettre circulaire, demandant simplement qu'on revienne vers les autorités avec les documents requis, qu'on vienne nous dire que nous sommes en train de tout basculer, non, franchement.
Leader of the opposition.
You want a question? Because she's not answering at all when I answer.
You have a question?
What is the point?
If you have a question,
I want to ask a question to the Minister.
Leader of the opposition. Please.
Yes.
Leader of the opposition, yes. Please. If you have no question, I'll allow one question to Honorable Ganga Pasad. But put your question.
Also, Honorable Minister, this Vice Prime Minister, this. I have on record here a meeting that there was at your ministry, your SCE, in October 2020. And they were very unsatisfied because they said no details were provided on the comprehensive grant formula. Which meetings have you had with these people now that the technical working group has been abolished? I saw that in the paper this morning. That is not true. Now, which meetings did you have with all these people, the Federation of Managers, etc., and when did you have that?
Mr. Speaker, sir, when the comprehensive grant formula was given to them, they came to me not 2 years ago, last year.
No conversation.
Mr. Speaker, sir, either
No
I answer the
conversation.
question or I listen to another
Please
person.
address the speaker.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have been having meetings regularly with the private secondary schools, especially with SIDEC. After the comprehensive grant formula was given to them, they came to my office. They were saying that they were agreeable. They wanted certain changes. Oh yes, they came up with another document saying that we could change a little bit here and there. And they told me that they were very happy with the idea that they had to come and submit their receipts and all. And that's why I'm telling you that I was surprised to see this press communiqué. Because when they left my office, they were happy. And I had even told them that I'm trying to discuss with the Ministry of Finance whether we can see what can be done for the ARV. And I have been discussing with the Ministry of Finance. But then they have to wait. And I've also been telling them that the evaluation process was on. And once it's done, things might improve also in terms of their ARV. But we have to be honest. They had come to me, we had discussed on all that.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, the last letter I have of 2nd December 2020, a year ago, where they met apparently your SCE. And they said in that letter, I can table it, no details were discussed. Now, do I take it firstly that the Prime Minister has not deemed fit to reply to the letter of 8th November from your supposed partners in education? You were copied with that letter. You didn't do anything either. And the last meetings you had with them was last year in 2020.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we've been having meetings with them even after that. So it is untrue to say so. I had a meeting with SIDEC and they were accompanied by the Cardinal as well. So you'll allow me to answer?
Minister,
I've had a meeting.
Forget whatever the leader of the opposition.
We had the meeting, we had discussed, and he's, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition was...
Leader of the Opposition, don't disrupt the proceeding, please.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition is saying that no details were discussed. They have given me a document with their proposals. How, after reading the comprehensive grant formula, so how come they didn't have the details? So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have here the table list of meetings, which I'm going to provide to you, so that we can... I'll give you the list of meetings.
No conversation, please, both sides.
Voilà.
Please, Leader of the Opposition, behave yourself. Behave yourself.
The technical working group met on the 24th September, 23rd October, 25th February 2020, 28th February 2020, 4th March 2020, 11th March 2020, 18th March 2020, 23rd September 2020.
Yes, please. Time is over by 5 minutes. Yes, time is over already. Prime Minister's question time. The table has been advised. Order! Order! The table has been advised that PQB 1320 will be replied by Honourable Minister of Environment, Solid Waste Management and Climate Change. PQB 1324 has been withdrawn. Honourable Juman.
Yeah.
Mr.
3, 1, 2, 3. Okay.
You're taking time, so I want to answer. Mr. Speaker, sir, I refer the honourable member to the reply I made to parliamentary question B1073 at the sitting of Tuesday, the 16th of November 2021, wherein I stated that reward money to informers is instrumental in assisting the police in the fight against drug trafficking and other crimes, and that it is in line with the Police Standing Order number 122. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that since December 2001, reward money is also paid to police officers, including ADSU personnel, engaged in the fight against dangerous drugs, resulting in the seizure of ganja, heroin, psychotropic, and other hard drugs. I am further informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that the quantum of reward to informers to be dispersed in each case depends on the following factors: the nature and circumstances, persons, and obviously number of persons arrested, quantity and value of drugs and exhibits secured, risk involved, and reliability and regularity of the informers. Payment of reward to police officers was stopped as from May 2014 in respect of seizures for year 2013 onwards. However, in January 2016, the then Commissioner of Police restored the payment of reward money to police officers with regard to uprooting of cannabis plants only. This represented an incentive and motivation for anti-drug and smuggling unit personnel and other police officers for the additional risks that are involved in the search of cannabis plantations. Since September 2021, the payment of reward money to police officers has been extended to other drug cases. Mr. Speaker, sir, I had also stated in my reply that reward money to informers and police officers was granted 34 times for a total amount of 5,502,520 rupees for the period July 2016 to June 2017. I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that this amount comprises reward money as follows: 254,270 rupees to police officers posted to the ADSU in respect of 631 cases of uprooting of cannabis plants, 95,350 rupees to personnel of police helicopter squadron, 516,000 rupees to those falling in the grade of Inspector of Police, Police Sergeant, acting as in-charge field teams and above posted to ADSU, 3,686,900 rupees to informers of ADSU, and 950,000 rupees to informers of the Central Criminal Investigation Department. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that the procedures for the payment of reward to informers for providing information on drugs or drug-related cases are as follows. Divisional commanders and branch officers submit an application to the Commissioner of Police for approval and payment of reward. Following the approval by the Commissioner of Police, the application is forwarded to the Manager, Financial Operations for payment. A payment voucher accounts Form 232 is filled by the Manager, Financial Operations. and a government check in the amount claimed is drawn in favor of the divisional commanders and branch officers concerned. The check is handed over to the divisional commanders and branch officers concerned for encashment and payment of rewards. And after payment is effected by the divisional commanders and branch officers concerned, the recipients acknowledge receipt thereof. The procedures for payment of rewards to police officers posted to ADSU who were involved in operations for uprooting cannabis are as follows. The Deputy Commissioner of Police, ADSU, submits an application to the Commissioner of Police for consideration for the payment of reward money to police officers posted to ADSU who have been involved in operations to uproot cannabis. Following approval by the Commissioner of Police, the application is forwarded to the Manager Financial Operations for necessary payment. A payment voucher accounts Form 232 is filled by the Manager Financial Operations, and a government check in the amount claimed is drawn in favor of the Deputy Commissioner of Police, ADSU. The check is handed over to Deputy Commissioner of Police, ADSU, for encashment and payment of rewards to police officers concerned, and the officers concerned are then convened to ADSU headquarters where cash payment is effected against signature. Regarding the applications made by Deputy Commissioner of Police, ADSU, for the financial year 2016-2017, for payment of reward money to police officers involved in cannabis uprooting operations, I am informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that the procedures, both at the level of the police headquarters and at the level of the police finance section, have been duly followed. Mr. Speaker, sir, since 5th of November 2021, the Acting Commissioner of Police has issued guidelines regarding calculation of reward money based on street value of the dangerous drug seized. Also, the Standing Order number 122 has been amended by adding a new Part E to the reward to informer form, whereby the police officer liaising with the informer will certify receipt of the reward money applied for. The Acting Commissioner of Police has, on 17th of November 2021, set up a special committee at the level of the police to revisit and streamline procedures for the payment of reward money, including reward to police officers with specific terms of reference. The committee is expected to submit its recommendations by end of December 2021.
Thank you. Honorable Prime Minister, let me come direct to a particular case bearing OB 909/17, where the famous case of Bobangas, where a check of 950,000 rupees drawn to the order of the DCP on the 30th of June 2017. Treasury voucher 201061965, out of which 700,000 meant for the above case mentioned. Can you, Honorable Prime Minister, confirm whether the 700,000 has been remitted to the informers, and if the secret receipt has been duly signed by the informers to acknowledge receipt of the money?
Well, the Honorable Member himself has mentioned that there is a case which is under investigation, even citing the OB number. Now, how can I be expected to provide information, evidence, in fact, which the Honorable Member is asking me to provide, while a case is being inquired into? So that is not proper. But secondly, let me say secondly to the Honorable Member, the case to which he is referring, in fact, is an alleged case of money that had to be paid to informers. His question, if I can read properly, he's talking about reward money that has to be allocated to officers of the anti-drug smuggling unit. So that case to which he is referring to bears no relevance to the question that has been asked today.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. So the question that I'm going to ask to the Honourable Prime Minister, I'm not sure whether he has the answer with him, and if not, he can circulate it later, to be fair. So my question is the whole concept, the whole mechanism of reward money. Can I ask the Prime Minister whether this falls under the purview of the Director of Audit? And if not, can I suggest that in the future the accounts of reward money are being audited by the Director of Audit?
Mr. Speaker, sir, as far as I know, all expenses that are made from public funds, and with regard to the budget of the police, how the money is budgeted for different items, are subjected for inspection by the Director of Audit. So, obviously, there must be regularly reports that are made by the Director of Audit. I don't know, haven't seen with regard to this specific issue. I need to have a look at it, whether there have been any comments that have been made with regard to use of funds for reward money.
Honourable Dano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Prime Minister inform the House whether there was an initiative in or around year 2015 for reinstating payment of reward money to police officers?
Yes, as I stated in my reply, Mr. Speaker, sir, the reward scheme for police officers was introduced in 2001, December. Now, the payment of the reward to police officers for seizure of cannabis, psychotropic and other illicit substances were made at the same rate, in fact, as customs officers. But however, for customs officers, the scheme was abolished in 2006 when the coming into effect of the Mauritius Revenue Authority. Now, all the payments of the reward to police officers were stopped in 2014, and there were representations from the officers from that unit also in 2015 to not only to restart, but to review this scheme. Now, the police was advised, because they had written to the Prime Minister's office, and the police was advised to refer the matter to the Pay Research Bureau. However, the Pay Research Bureau did not address this issue in its report of 2016, and in January 2016, the then Commissioner of Police had restored the payment of reward money to police officers with regard to uprooting and seizure of cannabis plants only. And in September 2021, this has been extended to other drugs.
Honourable Prime Minister, I am not talking about the case of drug trafficking, we are talking about the reward money, given that. And for the reward money, 700,000 rupees, you just mentioned that the sum has not been given to the police officers, but there is no such amount handed over to the police officers. So obviously it goes to the informers. Honourable Prime Minister, can you confirm to the House whether there has been an ex parte lodged by ICAC to the Supreme Court in relation to the present case I mentioned, whether the judge grant the motion?
Honourable Member, maybe I have to repeat, I don't know if I can say it in French maybe. La question supplémentaire que pose l'honorable membre est une question concernant une allégation qui a été faite concernant le paiement de reward money à des informateurs. Sa question aujourd'hui, il parle de, je dois traduire sa question qui est en anglais, en français, il parle de reward money qui a été payé aux officiers de l'Anti-Drug Smuggling Unit pour l'année financière terminant au 30 juin 2017. Monsieur le Président, cette question supplémentaire n'a rien à voir avec la question qui est posée aujourd'hui. J'invite l'honorable membre à venir avec une question spécifique concernant ce cas particulier et bien sûr, je vais répondre.
Honourable Amir. Thank you. Can I ask the Honourable Prime Minister whether he has any information from the Acting Commissioner of Police with regard to whether there has been any interdepartmental inquiry with the Central CID, whereby, as has been said, it's believed that procedures have not been followed, were duly followed in that particular case that happened in early 2017.
I am sorry, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have to repeat again. The honourable member is asking me whether there has been an internal inquiry with regard to the supplementary question that has been put by Honourable Juman concerning a case which I know is actually under investigation, as he himself has mentioned, but which bears no relevance to this case, this question that is being put today. So I will also invite the honourable member to come with a substantive question with regard to that issue, and obviously I will answer.
Honourable Juman, move to your next question.
B1322.
Mr. Speaker, sir, according to Section 7 of the Police Act of 1974, every police officer shall wear the prescribed uniform. Accordingly, the police department has issued the Police Standing Order number 110, Dress Regulations, which provides instructions on all aspects of police uniforms, including the proper wearing thereof and the use of other items and accessories forming part of the uniform. There are several items which constitute the police uniform, namely shirt, trousers, skirts, belts, caps, shoes, socks, and accessories such as shoulder badge, cap badge, nameplate, lanyard, amongst others. I am informed by the Commissioner of Police, by the Acting Commissioner of Police, that the procurement of different items of uniform, including police caps, is based on the annual requirements and on the frequency of issue of same. There are different types of caps which are issued to police officers based on their ranks, gender, and size of the head. Police cap is issued at least once every 3 years, or earlier upon request, following wear and tear, loss or damage. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am also informed by the Acting Commissioner of Police that for the last procurement exercise for police caps, the contract was awarded for 6,352 caps for male police officers for a total cost of 4,996,850 rupees and 40 cents, including VAT, on Wednesday, 21st of March 2018. All of them have been delivered to the police department and are being issued as and when required. For female officers, the contract for the procurement of 1,500 units of caps was awarded for a total cost of 2,200,000 239,050 rupees, including VAT, on Monday, 4th of October 2021. The delivery date is on Sunday, 12th of December 2021. On 9th of November 2021, the supplier delivered 92 cups and a sample was sent for testing. According to the test report, the cups delivered did not meet the required specifications. The supplier was informed of the non-compliance. The 92 cups have thus been returned.
We know who designed those cups.
Who designed those cups? If I can recall, while I was trying to gather information, I think, no, I don't. I need to check, because I can recall that there was something to do with the University of Mauritius, but I need to get the exact information. But I undertake to provide it to the House. Yeah.
Honorable Two.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can the Honourable Prime Minister provide the names of the bidders for both the policemen and policewomen caps?
Yes. For male caps, there were 4 bidders. Global Strategic Procurement Limited. Second one is Night Trading Agency Company Limited. Third one, Master Sport Company Limited, and the fourth one is Ismail M. Bawamia Company Limited. And for the female caps, in fact, for the female caps, 15 suppliers were invited to submit quotation for the procurement of those caps through a restricted bidding exercise. Now, I can circulate those 15 names, but what is important, at the time of closing, only 4 bids were received. So they are as follows. First is from Ismail M. Bawamia Company Limited. Second is Global and Strategic Procurement Limited. Third is Worldwide Marketing and Services Limited. And the fourth one is Night Trading Agency Company Limited.
Number 2.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Can we know from the Honourable Prime Minister what is the procurement process for these accessories, caps, badges, socks, trousers? Thank you.
Well, as the estimated cost for the WPC caps was estimated at around 2.250 million rupees, which is below the threshold of the 5 million rupees. The restricted bidding method was used in accordance with Section 19(1)(b) of the Public Procurement Act of 2006. And whereas for the male cap, it was an open advertised bidding method because it was estimated to be more than 5 million rupees.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, the Honourable Prime Minister stated that the supplier for policewomen caps was not in compliance with the set specifications. Can the Honourable Prime Minister give us more explanation on how?
Well, I must find out, Mr. Speaker, sir, because there was a discrepancy in the content with regard to wool, I think. I need to get the, no, it is about cotton, yes, sorry. One of the specification was that it has to be 100% cotton woven fabric coated with a plastic, that is the crown, with plastic waterproof and so on. So I understand that there was a report that was provided after testing, and that it did not meet that standard. I have it somewhere, but this is what the reason why the supplier was informed.
B1323.
Mr. Speaker, sir, Airport Holdings Limited is not involved in the processing of flights and passengers at Sesiusagaram International Airport. These are operational matters dealt with by the Airport Passenger Terminal Operator, which is the Airport Terminal Operations Limited, and other border control agencies, namely Passport and Immigration Office, Airport Health Office, and Customs Department, amongst others. I am informed by the Director of Civil Aviation that Air Mauritius flight MK852, arriving from Johannesburg on Saturday, 27th of November 2021, landed at Sesiusagaram International Airport at 1919 hours without passengers.
Next question.
Prime Minister, we are talking of a flight of MK852, the 7th of November.
Well,
from Johannesburg.
This is the flight I'm also referring to which I replied.
Try your next question.
And this is, Mr. Speaker, sir, and this is the flight in which there were rumors about the daughter of the Deputy Prime Minister having traveled and having been given special treatment, favorable treatment, in order not to go for quarantine. These are the kind of news that have been circulating. And after Deputy Prime Minister has denied such news, then they came on to Minister Jagatpal. And after Jagatpal, you know what? You should know. After Jagatpal, they came to referring to my daughter. This is a kind of nonsense that has been ongoing
on. Order! Order, please! Order! I heard Honorable Bobiariram saying that. Apologize and withdraw the word.
Apologize and withdraw.
You have a supplementary question?
Prime Minister, no. No on goal.
No, quiet, please. I am on my feet.
Prime
go with it.
Flight on Saturday from Johannesburg. There was around 165 passengers on the flight. That's the truth. That's the truth. And I want to have details of how many of the passengers were positive and where were they lodged in quarantine centers.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I speak the truth in Parliament whenever I answer any question. The flight to which the Honourable Member is referring to is MK852. And I have stated it landed on Saturday, 27th of November at 1919 hours, and there were no passengers.
Time over. No passengers, time over. The table is advised that PQ B1395 will be replied by the Honorable Minister of Industrial Development, SMEs and Cooperatives. PQ B1345, 46, 47, and B1368 have been withdrawn. Honorable Osman Mohamed.
B1334.
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is important to make a clear distinction between wheat grain, which is a raw agricultural product, and wheat flour, which is a processed and refined end product. I am informed that Le Moulin de la Concorde, which is a private company, imports wheat grains from different sources. The wheat grains are then processed by LMLC in its own local flour mill to produce wheat flour, which, according to the manufacturer, is essentially a merchant product. The State Trading Corporation procures around 94,000 metric tons of wheat flour in 4 distinct types, which are white wheat flour, type A, at the price of US dollar 454 per metric ton, white wheat flour, type B, at the price of US dollar 418 per metric ton, brown bread flour type A and brown bread flour type B at the price of US dollar 458 per metric ton. The STC has detailed specifications for each type of flour, which have been worked out by a consultant and is periodically reviewed. I'm tabling a copy of the specifications. I am informed that LMLC tests the flour products produced in its in-house laboratory to ensure compliance with STC's required specifications prior to supplying same to STC. Moreover, the STC appoints an independent testing body to certify the quality of wheat flour received from supplier against STC's required specifications. The STC has appointed the Merger Standard Bureau to carry out quality tests on the flour supplied by the LMLC on a monthly basis.
Thank you. For a population of 1.3 million people, bread is considered as a staple food, and the flour being referred to in the question, which is also used to make parathas and dolpuris and other pastries, benefit subsidy totaling an amount of 1 billion rupees per year from government coffers. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether, in regard specifically to bread, whether there has been a change in specification lately? Because l'Association des propriétaires des boulangers has made vehement complaints to the STC since the month of September regarding the bad quality of flour that is being sold to them by Moulin de la Concorde, and that this affects to a large extent the quality of bread available to the population, and as a consequence of this, people are complaining, and bakers are having to throw away thousands of bread every day since people do not want to buy them.
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, I am informed that since the beginning of the contract in 2021, STC has officially not received any major complaint from bakeries. There are around 160 bakeries currently registered with the STC for the purchase of flour. No official complaint has been received, and I also confirm that there has not been a change in the specifications.
Yes, that is because the STC is not playing its role as it should be. And the minister has refused consistently to meet with the bakers, despite having asked for meeting on several occasions. Mr. Speaker, sir, I say that STC is not playing its role because I'm going to table correspondence between the bakers and Le Moulin de la Concorde directly, which should not have been the case. So can I ask the Honourable Minister what does he have to say about this state of affairs?
Mr. Speaker, sir, it is not true to say that I have not met with the Association of Bakers. On this issue, they did not write to me. I am informed that they verbally complained to Le Moulin de la Concorde, and no official complaints was received by the STC, neither by my ministry.
Not the verbal, but the written complaint to and fro between with Moulin de la Concorde and Bakers. So
Moulin de la Concorde and Bakers, not to STC. Moulin de la Concorde is a private company, Mr. Speaker, sir. They are dealing with private company, not...
Sorry.
Any question?
Yes. Has there been a change of specification recently? Because it is known that on the international market, prices of wheat have gone up. And could it be that Le Moulin de la Concorde is buying cheaper wheat and supply it to the local market?
Mr. Speaker, sir, I have earlier in my reply stated that there has not been any change in the specification as per the contract awarded to Le Moulin de la Concorde. And I also confirm that according to the specification, there are tests which are carried out on a monthly basis by the MSB.
Yes. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he could table at least the last test results done by the MSB?
Yes, and it takes table.
Next question.
B1135.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I understand this parliamentary question to refer to a project involving two sites, namely that of Bassin and that of Résidence Troquessia-Chebel, as distinct from Résidence Lotus at Chebel. As regards Part A of the question, I'm informed by the NHDC Limited that the total number of units constructed at Bassin Road and Résidence Troquessia at Chebel are 102 and 92 units, respectively. With regard to parts B and C of the question, I'm informed that on 24th March 2017, one single contract for the project was awarded by the NHDC Limited to Super Construction Company Limited in respect of both sites for a contract value of rupees 325,698,888. In respect of Part D of the question, I am informed that variations and accelerated costs are the subject of a dispute which has been referred to arbitration. The award is expected by January 2022, and I shall be happy thereafter to provide the information requested to the House. Finally, with regards to Part E of the question, according to information provided to me, construction works at Bassin Road and Chebel, that is Résidence Troquessia at Chebel, started in April 2017 and, as per the contract, were to have been completed by October 2018. In actual fact, the sites were handed over to the NHDC Limited in November 2020.
Yes. Can I ask the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister whether, in addition to the case having been referred to arbitration, the NHDC has in parallel made a statement to the police for allegedly forgery and overclaiming from the part of the contractor to the tune of 65 million rupees. And this statement, I can even give him the OB number, is 6817-221, dated 19 October 2021.
Again, the Honourable Gentleman is always very well informed about the NHDC Limited. I do not delve in day-to-day running of the NHDC Limited, but I have been informed by the NHDC Limited, further to the parliamentary question put to me, that a statement was indeed made by the NHDC to the police on 19th October 2021 regarding possible fraud committed by the contractor in his, I quote from the information provided to me, in his substantiation for its claims for accelerated costs.
Thank you. Since the Honourable Minister has said that I'm quite well informed about the NHDC, can I take the liberty of telling him that for this particular contract, very unusually at the level of the NHDC.
Put the question. Don't inform the minister.
Is he aware?
Yeah.
So is he aware, or would he inquire as to whether for this particular contract, every Friday at the NHDC, the finance department had to put away all the work that it had to do, and concentrate only on the payment due to this contractor, so that in express manner, payment is made on that Friday itself. And this could have been the cause of the malaise, the situation that now, because there has been a change of CEO at the level of the NHDC, has been referred to the police. If he doesn't have the information, which I'm sure maybe he will have, can he inquire?
I do not have such information, Mr. Speaker. There is, I presume, a police investigation. There is, on the other hand, an arbitration procedure that is underway, and I will wait for these respective processes to be completed.
I'm not a lawyer, but police investigation will not elucidate all the mysteries there could have been, especially if there was connivance at the level of the NHDC. Can I ask the Honourable Minister, given that his ministry is going to embark on a huge housing project for the country, 12,000 units, to refer this case to ICAC so that for bigger contract, no bigger hanky-panky than this could happen?
Mr. Speaker, sir, we cannot refer a matter to ICAC when the information seems to be in the sole possession of the Honourable Gentleman. But of course, if he has any such information, he is free to report the matter to the competent authorities.
Honourable Nakchadi, last supplementary.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I will just seek your, seeking your guidance. Whether is it in order to discuss an issue which is at arbitration? Whether is it in order to discuss an issue which is supposed to be confidential as it is under arbitration?
That was a supplementary question.
Seeking your guidance on that issue.
What was the
because the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister mentioned.
Please.
Honourable Deputy Prime Minister mentioned in his reply that there is an issue which is at arbitration. So arbitration have got confidential clauses. So is it in order to discuss issues which is under arbitration to be discussed in this House?
I'll come to the point later on. Next question.
B1336.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to inform the House that several complaints were received at the level of the CAB office Almaty from the inhabitants in the region of Vrindavan Road, Bunakai, regarding the poor state of the said road. Mr. Speaker, sir, the road name is Vrindavan, not Vrindavan as written in the question. Vrindavan as a village of Lord Krishna. Subsequently, the technical officers of my ministry carried out a site visit at the locus on 17 December 2020 and observed that the Vrindavan road required a full-width resurfacing. I'm informed, Mr. Speaker, sir, there was no drainage infrastructure thereat, and with the existing site topography, surface runoff flows into the Vrindavan road and accumulates at low-lying points in that area. Accordingly, Mr. Speaker, sir, with a view to addressing the situation, on the 4th May 2021, the NDU issued a works order for the resurfacing and construction of drains at Vrindavan Road, Bunakai, for an amount of 2,145,033 rupees, inclusive of VAT, to Gamma Construction Limited under its framework agreement for the construction and upgrading of road and associated works. The scope of works of the project includes the following: laying of curbs to the side of the road where necessary as a lateral support to the road crust, construction of 4 absorption drains of 300 millimeters wide by 4.5 meters long and 1 absorption drain of 500 millimeters wide by 16 meters long with metal gratings. Out of the 4 absorption drain of 300 millimeters wide and by 4.5 meters long, planned at design stage, only 3 were constructed on site. The 4th absorption drain, planned near the junction of Vrindavan Road and the RDA A2 road, was omitted due to the presence of an existing buried live CWA pipe which is prone to damage and also which is located just below the road surface. In addition, the presence of network of traffic light sensors at the location further ward off the construction of that absorption drain. And the contractual start and completion date of the project was 17th May 2021 and 11th September 2021, respectively. However, due to a delay in mobilization by the contractor, the works were completed on 29th November 2021. Mr. Speaker, sir, the implementation of the project is financed under the National Flood Management Program Fund and will be disbursed from the COVID-19 Project Development Fund. Mr. Speaker, I repeat it again. The project is funded under COVID-19 Project Development Fund, which has been earmarked for economic recovery and to sustain the construction industry and to prevent people working in that industry to lose their job and to allow the supply chain in the construction industry to work. And I can only thank the Minister of Finance and Prime Minister for that initiative. I'm informed that as at date, no payment has been effected and the claims are being awaited from the contractor, who has still to submit relevant test results from approved testing laboratories for the works carried out on site. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yes, I have 2 questions. The first one is regarding the quality of the work. Maybe the Minister is not aware, my in-laws are from the Flag District. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether he has been made aware that even the district councillors have made a lot of complaint about the quality of work that is being conducted there?
This is exactly what you just said, Mr. Speaker, sir. At the end, before payment, we need to have relevant test results and approved testing laboratories, etc. So we need our engineers at the level of the NDU are carrying out necessary tests and measurement, etc. And also, if the district council, as you were saying, I guess it's Mr. Duma, if he got any issue, he can talk to the NDU directly. So there is no issue. If they have any issue, we'll look into.
As I know, there is no district councillor called Mr. Duma. Anyway, this is accusation anyway. Can I ask the Honourable Minister whether, in terms of process, which department applies for fund under COVID? Is it the local authority or his ministry through the NDU?
Well, Mr. Speaker, sir, the Minister of Finance in the budget speech has provided fund under the COVID Project Development Fund for infrastructural project, drain, amenities, and road, etc. When the NDU has got project to do in a specific region, obviously the NDU who got to apply for the funds. I am not so very much concerned about other ministries, what they want to do.
But the NDU has got its own funds for projects which have already been approved in the calendar year. So how does it go? Whims and caprices, NDU see a project, and then he just decides to apply for COVID fund, because COVID money is meant for, of course, I understand the rationale for economic development, but COVID fund is primarily meant to alleviate problem in relation to COVID.
Mr. Speaker, sir, the Minister of Finance has provided funds under different funds: the Consolidated Fund, the COVID-19 Project Development Fund, the National Environment Climate Change Fund, and all the PPSs prior to the financial year do submit a list of projects that are required in their respective constituencies. And the list is approved by the Minister of Finance, and it's up to the Minister of Finance to disburse the funds and tell us where the funds are available for us to do the projects. There's nothing about whims and caprices, because those projects are well decided well in advance, before even the financial year. Now, for instance, now we are already working on the project that will be implemented in the next financial year. So there is nothing whims and caprices. We can just, not anyone just can come and decide to resurface or build a drain wherever they want. There is a scientific approach behind. It's well thought where what is needed.
Honourable members, I will suspend here for 1 hour.